Hey everybody, I'm Tegan Berry, and today I'm going to play Ultima 8 Pagan. The reason I'm going to play this today is because I've really wanted to play Ultima 8 Pagan for a while, and I just haven't been able to bring myself to do it because I've been afraid that I wouldn't do the game justice, but I'm afraid no longer. Today I'm going to play Ultima 8 Pagan, but first I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. This is a game that means a lot to me. I played it a lot when I was a kid, and I mean a lot. But I never completed the game. I just wandered around and enjoyed the vast quantity of facets and interesting things that the game had to offer. There's a huge world, well, a reasonably large world that you can explore, and it's full of books and tools that you can manipulate and people you can encounter and do completely pointless things with. Monsters you can kill, and just tons of little things. Like there's marbles in the game, and you can play with the marbles and knock them into each other, and they fully function like marbles. And I mean, sure, I could have been playing with marbles as a kid, but you know that you could play with the marbles in the game and they were fully functional was something that was completely new to me at the time. So it was just an amazing game, and it was a game that they used. Ultima 8 Pagan was the game that was a basis for the online game Ultima Online, one of the earlier online games. There was online games that were before it, but that was one of the bigger online games comparable to EverQuest and some of the mainstream online games. So it was a pretty significant online game, especially for me. Anyways, because of that, because it had that style, it just had a lot of various things to offer that you can just explore, and because of that, that's why I never completed the game. I just had so much fun running around exploring this game full of things to do and people to talk to and books to read, and it's an experience that's very close to my heart. So anyways, I wanted to come back and play this game and actually play it through to its conclusion and see the rest of the story. So this is something I'm doing mostly for myself, but I want to bring you along for the ride. So thank you very much in advance for doing this with me, choosing to do this with me. I know there's a lot of games that I'm currently playing that I have not completed, Captain Quasar among them. I intend to complete all the games which I have embarked upon, and all the games that I started playing. I just haven't gotten around to completing these games for various reasons, and if there's a game, a project that you want me to complete, hound me about it. Don't let me stop. Comment. I will complete these games. I'm a man with honor, and I wish to live with honor and not with shame. I have been feeling a good amount of shame recently, for various reasons. Financial reasons, relationship with my friends kind of reasons, and some of the work I've been doing. For example, I've been playing Way of the Samurai 4, and I feel a amount of shame about playing that game for so long without making a lot of story progress. It reminded me of Ultima 8, which is why I'm going back and completing Ultima 8, but I will complete Way of the Samurai 4. I recorded to the point where I actually got past my stuck points, but I had to use an FAQ to figure out how to get past that stuck point of the tournament. Anyways, I have enjoyed playing the game, and I shouldn't feel shame. Shame, I feel like in many ways, is an outdated mode of thinking. Honor, it might be kind of outdated too. Anyways, the Ultima 8 is the Ultima series. I fell in love with the Ultima series thanks to Ultima 8, and it started with Ultima 8. But I bought the Ultima collection and went back and played all those Ultima games, and I cherished them a good amount, a great deal. And then I also bought Ultima 9, because that wasn't part of the Ultima collection, or at least not when I bought the collection. Anyways, so let me talk about the Ultima series real quick, and the virtues of the Ultima series. Well, when I bought the Ultima collection, I got a set of cards, each representing one of the 8 virtues. 8 cards, 8 virtues, yes. Anyways, and a little commemorative coin, or did this come with the... This is like the Ultima 8 Pagan coin. Maybe did this come with Ultima 8? I have a CD of the Ultima 8 game, but today I'm going to be playing Ultima 8 through I'm going to get the copy I got through EA for free through Origin, just because it's more convenient. Although I could emulate the old version. I assume that the one I got through Origin is a good copy, but we'll find out. I might switch copies depending on how things go or how things work out. But in any case, I don't have that CD with me right now, but I have these cards, and I'd like to talk about each of the virtues and how I feel about them. And the 8 virtues are a system of morality that was developed for the Ultima series of games. The Avatar, the main character of Ultima 8, is a character cast into the world of Pagan, which is a world that does not follow the 8 virtues that he prescribes to, the system of morality. And I think that the system of morality espoused in the Ultima 8 games is a good system. If you followed this as your system of morality, I think you would be a good person. I don't think you'd be a perfectly well-adjusted person for modern society, but I think you'd be a good person. I think you'd be more well off than a lot of people following a lot of modes of morality that are currently espoused in our modern era. Like many religions, probably Scientology. I don't know everything about Scientology, but I'm going to say probably better than Scientology. You'd probably be better off following what's on these cards than Scientology or a lot of major religions, really, or certainly most cults. I'll just, forget about the modern religions. Please don't get angry at me, but there's a lot of... Okay, forget it. I don't want to poo-poo on anyone's beliefs, but I think these are pretty good. But honestly, you can do better having your own path. I think there's a better path of morality that is custom tuned to your situation and who you are. That's ultimately morality comes from within. It doesn't come from without. So that being said, I like this system, but I'm not. Well, let me begin to analyze the 8 virtues, and you'll see what I mean. Well, the basis, all the virtue cards have a design. It's a circle with a bunch of lines and some more circles, 3 circles and a dot in the center. A pair of triangles. The lines form 2 triangles, and then the circles. So, anyways, I think the first virtue to talk about is on this card. It is the virtue of humility. That is characterized by the humble shepherd. And the color of humility is black, and it represents the ring of the circle. Because the position in the circle is because it's the basis for the other virtues. A humble person understands himself. It basically equates to self-awareness in many ways, in my mind. That somebody who is humble is self-aware, but also humility is the opposite of pride. It says here, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for Ultima, that pride is the surest measure of goals never attained. Pride goeth before, and shame cometh after. The shame leads to awareness of humility, the root from which all virtues grow. Humility is to strip oneself of all conceits. So, you can still be a person who aims to be famous and still be humble. You just have to be aware. You just can't look at yourself and say, I'm the greatest. That's not humility. Saying that I am a good enough person and worthy of what I have attained. That sounds more self-aware, doesn't it? There are certain celebrities that I feel like are not humble, and certain ones that are. For example, I'll focus on the ones that are, like Louis C.K. I feel like he is actually a very humble celebrity. Or like maybe Kanye West would be a person that might be considered a bit more prideful and less self-aware, or at least that's the way he kind of presents himself. Anyways, I feel like that pretty well covers humility. The basis, if you're not self-aware, if you're not honest with yourself, then how can you really attain any of these other virtues? So that's humility, the basis of all virtues. I'm going to bring back my webcam so let's see. I'm doing this. Humility, the basis of the virtues. Next. Well, I don't really have these arranged in a particular order. The cards have a pair of moon symbols, because the world of Ultima has a pair of moons So I could have ordered these cards in a particular order with those moon symbols, and maybe there's an order that I'm supposed to be going in, but I don't know that order. I put them in an arbitrary order. Well, the main thing was I put the spirituality is last and the humility is first. But other than that, there wasn't an order that I'm going in. Anyways, honor. Honor is important. It represents... Well, let me read here what they say about honor, but mostly it's the idea... It espouses the principles of... It's truth. Well, there's three main guiding virtues, or principles. There's three main guiding principles that are depicted by those circles in the center, and that is truth, love, and courage. And honor, they say here, is a combination of truth and courage. So basically, it's about not being dishonest, but also doing it in a valorous kind of way. Much like chivalric honor, I kind of feel like honor, in many ways in our modern society, isn't as useful, or isn't as important. A lot of people say honor is dead. I feel like honor is important in many ways. It's just very complex how it's applied. I've got a lot of mixed feelings about honor. But so what does honor really mean to me? I haven't really taken the time to think about all this, but well, the opposite of honor is shame. And so honor is being proud of yourself in many ways, but at the same time that's pride, and pride, they were just saying, comes before shame. Like, is pride always bad? Like, the pride that a father feels for his son, does that preclude shame? I have a lot of questions about honor. Maybe you on the internet can fill me in a bit more about honor. But honor in Ultima 4, the Ultima where you become the Avatar, honor in that game meant fighting. When you fought human opponents, you would fight them, but you would let them live. You wouldn't slay people, because that would be dishonorable. You wouldn't stab people in the back. You wouldn't kick a man when they're down. It's partially compassion. Honor, it's like acting honorably. A person who acts honorably is somewhat compassionate even to his opponents. He believes in following a complex system of rules that he believes are good. So I guess honor kind of means an integrity to following rules in a sense, or things like that. I don't know. Honor is a very complex one for me. So, anyways, but it's there, and it is important in this system of belief. So, anyways, that's honor. Justice. Justice is it's the principles of truth and love, but justice is making sure that what is right is... Well, the opposite of justice is wrong. So, whenever you make a wrong decision, like punishing someone who's wrongfully accused and wrongfully punished, that's unjust. Justice it's fairness. It's if we all share and we all get the same amount, that's justice. If somebody gets more than someone else, that's injustice. So, yeah, it's about fairness. Mostly, it's about what is right, what we know to be right, which what is right is an opinion in most people's minds. So justice is also kind of a tricky one, and in many cases, I have a lot of problems with our justice system. So, yeah, it's justice. Justice is a very tricky one, and it's one that I feel like it's not easy to accurately define it or apply it in modern society without... There's a lot of pitfalls to justice. I feel like justice is a virtue, absolutely. We need justice in our lives, and that's why we have a justice system, but it's an easy one to be perverted, as it were. There's the opposite... They call the opposite of all the virtues the perversions of the virtues, so Justice is a very tricky one, but it is important. So next we have... Oh, and Justice is considered to be this green line here. And you can see this purple line represents... It's highlighted on the card. Represents honor. Is it coming in on the webcam properly? My bad. There's a bit of a glare there. But if you can see, there's a purple line here. You can get digital images of these cards, and if it's not coming clear, I'll just put a digital image on the card on the screen. But that purple line there represents justice or honor, and this green line represents justice. Anyways, the next one is valor, and valor is basically courage. The card depicts a man. I wasn't commenting on the depictions of these cards too, like the honor is a armored knight with a cup. I'm not exactly sure what the cup truly symbolizes, but he's kind of holding it sacred, I guess. It's his I guess he's holding the cup. And then justice, represented by a elderly man who makes the judgments and the scales of justice, meaning that they're equal, they're fair. The scales represent the fairness. Valor, a monstrous demon, and a man standing up to it, not afraid at all, holding up his sword. So I think justice or valor is the symbol is a sword, right? Yeah, the sword of justice, or the sword of valor. I'm sorry, the sword of valor. And valor is just all about being brave. It's when it comes down to it, you've got to overcome your fear. And so the opposite of valor is cowardice, right? Or the dungeon is dastard, so it's like being dastardly deeds. Cowardly. So yeah, being a coward generally, and cowardly things are the opposite. Valor is very simple. That's a very simple card to talk about. And the next one, sacrifice, depicted by this yellow line. The red line on the bottom, if you saw on this card, was the valor. Orange. I'm sorry. Orange is the color of sacrifice. And sacrifice is pretty simple. It's just putting others before yourself, and that it takes a lot to make a sacrifice. So it's definitely a virtue. There's not much of an argument there. Compassion. That's yellow. That's this line, which is caring about others, is having empathy, and the opposite of compassion was not having empathy. Despise. I despise you, which is it's hate. So, I mean, that's pretty simple. There's not a lot of explanation there. This symbol. Oh, and the symbol or the picture is a bard, because compassion is always depicted by a bard in these games, giving money to a poor person. As a compassionate act. Now, honesty, the blue line here, is depicted by an open palm, as in, like the gesture of swearing. I swear my honesty. And there's, I think, is it a wizard? I think the wizards were the honest people. A mage. So you got a wizard here putting his palm to an open palm because wizards are honest, I guess. It's not always my experience, but sure. And, it's pretty self-explanatory. You should be honest. There's a virtue in lies. Dishonesty is not a virtue. Very simple. Almost all cultures can grasp that very easily. And the final one is spirituality, which is depicted by a white dot in the very center. Now, I kind of have a problem with this one because I'm an atheist. I don't believe in spirituality. I don't believe in higher powers or mystical forces, or that you have a spirit. I believe when I die, my logic goes like this. What do I remember before I was born? Nothing. Or maybe darkness. But I don't really remember darkness. I remember just the absence of everything. I don't really remember anything. There's no memory. It's just nothing. If I go to that entry, there's nothing. And so that's kind of by default what I've been given to believe. Nothing. When I die, it's nothing again. And I've talked to people and they say, "Oh, that's very scary or depressing." And it's like, maybe, but that just means that you have to do what you love while you're alive, which is part of why I'm making this video right now. It's like, I've got to make this Ultima 8 game and finish it. and do it justice and play it to the end before I die, because I want to see the ending, and I want to bring you along. And if I do that, I will feel good, and that's important to me. So anyways, but I looked up what spirituality means to Richard Garriott, the maker of the Ultima 8 games, or the maker of the Ultima games, and he composed this system of morality with a few other people, but he gets a lot of credit, obviously. Well, okay, the opposite of spiritualism is hylotheism. Hylotheism is the opposite of spiritualism. Or at least Hyloth is the dungeon that's the opposite in their terms. And that here it says is a belief that matter is God, or the idea that there is nothing, basically. But the thing is that, like, in addition, the spirituality in this system of morals means just following all the principles of the virtues. So anyone who is virtuous and follows all the virtues is actually very spiritual. So Richard Garriott would actually argue, I believe, that I'm a very spiritual person because I believe in all the virtues, and I try to measure myself up to those virtues, and I'm very self-aware, and I try to be humble, and I try to have honor, or at least my personal version of honor. I try to be just, I try to be courageous, I try to be all these things because I think they're all good. But I have my own version of them. I don't really feel like I follow the Ultima version of the virtues. I've tweaked it, but my moral system kind of follows this, and I kind of take a lot of my morality from this, and very, very many other things. My moral system is a patchwork of other moral systems. I feel like I try to take the best elements of every single moral system out there. It's like, ooh, that's good. Oh, that's bad. I don't want that. But anything I think is a good moralistic idea, I try to take that into my own belief system. So anyways, maybe I am a very spiritualistic person, because someone who is not aware of the virtues would be someone who is believing in, is hylotheistic, is engaging in hylotheism, like a robot. A robot would have no need for any of the virtues. A non-self-aware robot would, in a sense, believe in matter or believe in nothing, and so he would not be a virtuistic. He would not be unvirtue. A robot is not unvirtuistic, but he's not he's not following the virtues, but he's not following the virtues. He's in the middle. Except for the virtue of spiritualism, in which a robot would have none. A robot is the opposite of the virtue of spiritualism. That's pretty obvious. But an atheist, according to this system, is not necessarily if he is a very virtuous person. If you're compassionate, if you have valor, if you have justice, if you have sacrifice, all these things, apparently you are spiritual, I guess, maybe. So anyways, it's represented by a white dot because it encompasses all the virtues. Spiritualism in this case is just following all the virtues. It's not actually being religious. But in a sense, but that's what it culminates to in the game is magic power, right, or something, right? So I mean, it kind of is, but or that's like the mage. So that spiritualism is actually the ranger. Rangers are spiritual, which rangers in the game were like fighter magic users. Rangers could do everything, and rangers were a bit of everything because they're dead center in the moral system. And so Rangers actually reminded me of like red mages in Final Fantasy 1. If you remember a red mage in Final Fantasy 1, it's like, I can cast white magic, I can cast black magic, I can use melee weapons, I can do anything. Shut up, you min-maxer. That's what there was a particular animation, what was it, 8-bit 8-bit something, or there was this particular webcomic that made fun of the red mage being a min-maxer because he could do everything. That's kind of the way I feel about rangers in this game, because they're dead center. It's like, choose a specialization. No, the jack of all trades is a master of none, or a master of life, you could say it, as some people like to say. Anyways, that's basically the introduction to all the virtues and how I feel about Ultima as a game series. Without further ado, after this video, I'm going to play Ultima 8 and enjoy it immensely. Thank you very much for listening to me talk about the effect that these games have had on me, and my own moral beliefs and this system of moral beliefs based on these cards. It's been very interesting, and here's the backs of the cards, but it's had a profound. Thinking about these virtues has had a profound effect on my life. Actually, I feel like I've bettered myself in some ways through the belief of these things, but I haven't believed these things to a point where they're absolutes. Obviously, I feel like believing anything fundamentally is bad. You need to modify things to adapt to your personal situation, but I think, as I said initially, it's a good system. It's not a perfect system, especially for our modern world, but I could think of worse things to live by. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Good night.